Every once in a while, I get invited to review a tech product. I say no most of the time, but this power bank seemed too intriguing to pass on. It's called the AOHi Starship and it's the biggest power bank I have ever used. It's also the most powerful I have so far, and with a design like this, it wouldn't look out of place in a sci-fi movie. It holds a massive 40,000 mAh worth of charge. It doubles as a charging station when you're not on the go, and with up to 140 watts on the output, it can charge a phone, a laptop and a tablet all at the same time. The price? $199 for the power bank alone, or $259 if you want to bundle it with an equally fast charger. That is not cheap, but I do have a discount code for you in the video description. Before I tell you more about it, a quick disclaimer: this power bank was sent to me for free by AOHi, the company that makes it. However, this is not an advertisement. All you hear is my honest opinion after using the power bank for about 10 days now. Fortunately, my impressions are mostly positive, but I will mention the things that could be improved. Inside the fancy box you will find the power bank itself, along with a charging cable and the user manual. It is good that the provided 1-meter cable supports the 140 watts the power bank can deliver. Many of the USB-C cables people have or can buy max out at 60 or 100 watts. As you would expect, an equally powerful charger is not included in the set. You can buy one separately or use a charger that you already have, as long as it's compatible. The power bank has a flashy, futuristic theme going on, matching other AOHi accessories like USB cables and chargers. On one end we see a single USB Type-C port, which is only for charging the power bank, and on the other side are 3 more USB ports. These are only for charging other devices. This LED here indicates charging status. However, it isn't very bright, which makes it difficult to see when it's lit. For some reason, my review unit came slightly scratched out of the box, but other than that, it appears to be in good condition. Now, because of its huge battery capacity, the power bank is very large and heavy. There is just no way around it. Any power bank that can hold this much charge would weigh a ton. Okay, maybe not a ton, it weighs about 910 grams, which is roughly 2 pounds. That is as much as 2 iPads. It is about the size of a water bottle, so the side pocket of your backpack would be a convenient carrying spot. The power bank is made of plastic, and behind this shiny piece over here is hidden a small display. Pressing the button on the side turns it on, and it shows you useful status information like how much charge there is left. We also see 4 power indicators, 3 showing you how fast your gadgets are charging, and 1 tells you how much power is going into the bank's own battery. Having that screen is great, but it's kinda small and I wish I could see more information on it. For example, it would have been nice knowing the number of charge cycles the bank has gone through. Also, the display is too dim, which makes it practically impossible to see outdoors, and it doesn't flip if it's upside down. The button to turn it on could have been larger, and painting it yellow would have made it easier to spot. But of course, you do not buy a power bank like this one for the display, you buy it for the capacity. Once again, this thing holds 40,000 mAh, or 144 watt-hours to be more precise. That is a lot, especially when you consider that a typical phone battery holds between 4,000 and 5,000 mAh. But what do these numbers mean in the real world? Well, I tested the bank's capacity by draining my phone completely and charging it only from the AOHi Starship. I was able to get 5 full charges with a couple of percent left in the power bank. This is not an extrapolation. I intentionally ran the test 5 times for several reasons. First of all, I wanted to make sure that I got consistent performance out of the power bank regardless of how much energy there was left in it. I was also curious to know if the percentage readings are linear and accurate, that the scale is not artificially skewed as it is on some other devices. Of course, how many full charges you get depends on how big the battery inside your phone is. For example, with a Galaxy S24 Ultra you should expect about 4 full charges, but if you have an iPhone 15 which has a much smaller battery, you should expect getting around 6 charges from 0 to full. I also tested the power bank with my laptop, which has an 86 watt-hour battery. Charging it from 10 to 100% took about 2.5 hours, and the power bank still had 35% left in it. Now, some of you may be wondering, why did this power bank with its 40,000 mAh capacity was able to charge my phone and its 4,500 mAh battery just 5 times? If you do the math, 5 times 4,500 equals 22,500. Why don't the numbers add up? Well, the capacity is not exaggerated like it is on some other power banks. The reason is inefficiency. And it's not an issue with this power bank only, it affects all power banks, any size, any price. Let me explain. Inside of this unit there are 8 batteries, 5,000 mAh each, which is where the 40,000 mAh come from. Every individual cell has a voltage of about 4.2 volts when it's full and 3.2 volts when it's empty. Since these voltages are not very useful for charging, the cells are all connected in series, which results in a battery pack whose voltage will vary between roughly 33 and 25 volts. And now the power bank has to step that voltage up or down, depending on what it is charging. For example, a MacBook Pro 16 would charge at 28 volts. A phone may request between 5 and 20 volts. These wireless earphones can take 5 volts only. This process of stepping voltage up or down is not 100% efficient. Numbers vary, but it is not uncommon for more than 20% of the energy to be lost during the voltage conversion process. Even the cable itself eats up some energy because of its resistance. That's why it warms up a bit, especially if it's got a lot of power going through it. Because of all these inefficiencies and energy losses, only some of the power stored in a power bank ends up in your phone. Now let's talk about power, which in this case is how much energy can flow in or out of the power bank per second. The AOHi Starship has a peak output of 140 watts, which is a lot of power, and it can be charged at the same rate too. I do not have a 140 watt charger, but I have this 100 watt unit which was able to charge the power bank from 0 to 100% in about 1 hour and 45 minutes. That is actually very fast considering the capacity of this power bank and very close to the estimate on AOHi's website. On the output you can get up to 140 watts out of either of the USB Type-C ports, but not at the same time. If you have 2 or more devices connected, the power will be distributed among them. So for example, if you have 2 laptops connected to the USB Type-C ports, you can expect each of them to get 65 watts, more or less. And the USB Type-A port maxes out at 18 watts, even when it's used by itself. I must also clarify that not every device will be able to take advantage of all that power. A 16-inch MacBook Pro can't pull the full 140 watts, but my phone, for example, supports no more than 25 watt charging. This Galaxy S23 Plus maxes out at 45 watts. These earbuds, they can take no more than a couple of watts. My point is that this power bank will not magically charge your phone faster than it technically can. The full 140 watts are supplied only to devices that support that kind of power. Still, 140 watts of output power are great if you want to charge multiple devices at the same time and at full speed. Here I am charging 2 laptops and this portable LED light, and I am pulling over 100 watts from the power bank without issues. There is also the matter of protocol compatibility. Think of a protocol as the language that the power bank and your phone have to speak in order to negotiate charging conditions that they both support. So what phones can fast charge from this power bank? Well, it has the latest USB Power Delivery 3.1. I don't have a way of testing this myself, but in theory the power bank should be able to fast charge iPhones, iPads and MacBooks, as long as you have the right cable, of course. AOHi tells me the bank also supports PPS, even though it is not stated in the specs for some reason. This is an extra layer of USB power delivery and it is used by Google Pixel phones. I also quickly tested the bank with a Motorola Edge 40. It was pulling around 50 watts from the power bank with no issues. My Galaxy S23 FE and this Galaxy S23 Plus charge at up to their maximum 25 and 45 watts respectively, so I do not think you'll have fast charging issues with Samsung Galaxy devices. The only phone that couldn't do fast charging was this OnePlus Nord 3. It pulled no more than 18 watts from any of the ports. Not terrible, but far from the 80 watts it supports with its stock charger. I haven't done any testing with other phone brands and models, so you may have to do your own research. In any case, I don't think there's a modern phone that this power bank cannot charge at all. It is fast charging specifically that will be available only on compatible models. And as far as laptops go, I have 3 laptops at home and they all charge via USB Type-C. Both this HP ProBook and this Lenovo ThinkPad charge normally, pulling between 60 and 80 watts. The power depends on if they're in standby or being used. On the other hand, this Dell XPS is more power hungry. Normally it charges from this 130 watt charger. Unfortunately, Dell appears to be using some proprietary protocol, so my XPS will only pull about half of that. It will recharge, but not as quickly as it can. So again, only compatible laptops will be able to charge quickly from this power bank. So how do you charge the power bank itself? We'll get to that, but first I have to cover its charging station feature. It's actually pretty cool. You can plug a charger into the power bank, leave it on your desk, and use its 3 USB ports to charge your gadgets. Most power banks cannot be used and charged at the same time. This is a great feature for several reasons. First of all, it guarantees that the power bank is always full and ready when you need it. Secondly, since the power bank is essentially your charger when it's in power station mode, you can take advantage of 140 watts of charging, even if the charger that's connected to it is less powerful, with the caveat that doing this will consume charge from the power bank if it has to compensate. You also get extra USB ports for charging more devices at the same time. AOHi recommends charging the Starship with a charger of 18 to 140 watts. Slower chargers will also work, but they will take forever to recharge it. If you want fast charging, the charger that you use has to be USB power delivery compatible. For example, this OnePlus charger can technically deliver 80 watts, but it charges the power bank at only 18 watts because they don't speak the same fast charging protocol. On the other hand, my 100 watt wall adapter works really well. The bank would also charge happily from this 65 watt laptop power adapter. If you plan on using the charging station feature regularly, a 65 watt is the minimum I would recommend. Just remember that if you have more power going out than going in, the power bank will use the charge from its batteries to compensate. And by the way, if you don't have a powerful charger on hand, AOHi has a bunch on sale on their website. Before we move on, one weird thing that I noticed: the power bank will not charge from any of my 3 laptops if I use a Type-C to Type-C cable. It is probably not a big deal for most people, but I thought I should let you know. Lastly, there appears to be some confusion as to whether you can take this power bank on an airplane or not. The TSA says that any power bank below 100 watt-hours can go into your carry-on bag, but the AOHi Starship exceeds that with its 144 watt-hours. That means you can only take it on a plane with approval from the airline, and it cannot go into your checked-in luggage under any circumstances. I went on the websites of several big airlines to see what they had to say, and it looks like they all have the same requirements, more or less. Any spare lithium-ion battery between 101 and 160 watt-hours can be taken on board only in your carry-on luggage and after approval, whatever that means. So if you intend to fly with one of these in your carry-on, check with your airline first. My guess is that you'll be fine, but ultimately it depends on the airline. In conclusion, I'm happy to say that I mostly like this power bank. It does have some issues, but it is very big, very powerful, and that charging station feature is pretty neat. It is clearly not a product for the average consumer. It is heavy, bulky, and at $199 it costs as much as a cheap smartphone. But it is suitable for professionals and enthusiasts who would have the hardware and possibly the workflow to take advantage of all that power and charge capacity. I just really wish they had made the display a little bit better. And as a reminder, before flying with one of these, check with your airline and make sure that they're okay